What do you think so far?
My first thought here would be that just realize even though this is plastic surgery, there are things that can happen. And many of these procedures, they're not hard to do, but you have to know what to do when things go awry. And that's why we train so long in plastic surgery. Hi, I'm Dr. Ben Lee, and I'm going to break down famous plastic surgery scenes. Well, there's two things that really disturb me about this video. Number one is they're wearing purple scrubs. There are hospitals that actually have Barney purple scrubs, and they design it that way so we won't steal them. No one would ever want them. The other comment I would make is that they're making the incision with a laser. And lasers are really popular in the public eye, but really it's a worse scalpel than actually cold steel. I read a study somewhere where the average wound from a scalpel is 7 microns, and it's 10 times that with a CO2 laser. So the laser is the worst scalpel there is. One thing that jumps to mind as I watch this is that the way we look is a combination of the bony structure that we have as well as the soft tissue. And just because you remove the soft tissue onto someone else's face doesn't mean you'll have the same bony structure, and you'll have a different appearance regardless of what face you put on there than the original face. So the idea of transposing a face from one person to another, it doesn't completely fly. Most of the procedures we do are to turn back time, to put structures back to where they were so you look like yourself. We don't have too many procedures that actually totally change how someone looks. However, we can get dramatic changes using facial implants because that changes the bony skeleton. We can also reshape some things in the nose, but generally most of our procedures are to make you look like you in some form or another, rather than something totally different.
Yo, Daddy! I'm so happy you could be here. How are you, baby? Did you bring any Botox? I didn't bring the Botox. I brought my cousin Eddie. Nice to meet you, Eddie. Is this a Halloween party? Are you kidding me right now? You got a little more work done, huh? Yeah, just a little bit, just tweaking. Maintenance. I just want to stay in the game, Danny. I don't want to hit home runs, just some singles. That's all. You gotta stop.
Well, I've seen over the past several years more and more people requesting quote unquote no motion in their face. And I don't know why this is, because part of how we look friendly and appealing to people is through expression of our emotions. Sure, you want to decrease the depth of the wrinkles, but you have to be able to show some kind of expression to bond with people. That's why we developed emotions over the course of human evolution.
Check okay?
Some of this technology may become available in the future. We are looking into stem cells, which will basically transform medicine. We put in these cells and they have regenerative powers, allowing us to turn back the hands of time. Now, that's the one thing that will give a patient away as far as their age. You'll do a facelift on a woman with eyes, and yes, we can give them 10 years, but their hands give them away. And with time, hands become veiny and full of pigment, and by injecting radius or Restylane lift, we give it a fullness again, and so it looks like a more youthful hand. Well, I remember when a lot of friends told me about this scene and telling me about how gross and graphic and bloody this was, and I was watching it and I thought, there's so much less bleeding than in real life. They're doing a thread lift type procedure using old school threads, which we had problems with, but people kept on working on them, and we use them now again, and they're much more refined. It's a better procedure. In all the surgery scenes in nip tuck, it's pretty much both surgeons working on the patient all at once. First of all, that's logistically hard to carry out because there's only so much space around a patient, and it's hard to put two surgeons in at the same time. But also, most of us tend to do cases alone with the help of assistants, but not another surgeon.
When I woke up out of the surgery and I looked down, and the first thing I said was, I can see my vagina, because I hadn't seen it in so long. About 3 days after the surgery, she removed the compression garment, and it was all red and pink. She said everything was fine, but my skin started turning purple, and it had hints of like brown underneath it. When it turned black, I started researching it. That's when I found out about necrosis, which is a flesh-eating disease. So I asked her, I said, you know, do I have necrosis? And she said, yeah. She cut this away, and I left that doctor's appointment with 2 holes in my stomach. Now I'm finally closed up, but I don't look normal. My name is Tanya.
This you know, tissue loss and necrosis after a tummy tuck. I mean, it can happen. It's very rare. I think the only times I've ever seen it or heard of it was in the context of a couple things. Number one, smokers, and also people with this is a hard procedure in the elderly, so they don't have as good a blood supply, and they do tend to have more wound healing complications.
What do you do when it happens?
Exactly what they did in this video. We do have, we have to take away the dead tissue. There's no way about it. And realize that when we're doing this procedure, and I don't fault the surgeons for it, we're lifting the skin up off the belly wall, and it depends on blood supply coming from far, far away. And it is a wonder that it does heal, and the vast majority of the time it does. Just once in a while there are things that prevent that from happening the way we plan, and you have to know how to deal with it.
When I first got pregnant, I was 17. I gained 81 pounds, and then I got pregnant again at 21. My husband, David, said that he actually really liked the way my body was, but at the same time, he was out cheating on me. That is when I went to a plastic surgeon in Mexico. I wanted a full mommy makeover, which would be a breast lift, implants if needed, and a tummy tuck after my surgery. The next day, the doctor comes in and removes my girdle. My stomach was black at this point. Like when a banana goes bad, it's black. It was black. He said that we needed to cut the dead skin, and I was awake when he started cutting. When my mom saw that he was cutting more, she stopped him, and we never went back to him. When I came back from Mexico, I was recovering in my mom's house. I felt like I was going to die.
My first thought here would be that just realize that even though this is plastic surgery, there are things that can happen. And many of these procedures, they're not hard to do, but you have to know what to do when things go awry. And that's why we train so long in plastic surgery. So it's always important to go to a board certified plastic surgeon, because things can happen through no one's fault, and we have trained for a long time to know how to handle these situations.